So one of the most underutilized materials in bike packing bags, in my opinion, is shock cord. It's simple, it's relatively inexpensive, and it's super functional. Because it has some built-in elasticity, it makes a great stabilizer for bags. They're also super handy for weaving things like a mini cargo net on bags that don't have them. In this video, I'm going to share with you guys 3 bike packing bag hacks that you can do with some simple shock cord. So the first shock cord hack I'm going to show you is how to add a little cargo net-like area here on a saddlebag. The reason you would want something like this is it makes a great and easy place to stuff in layers without having to actually open up the bag. To do this, you'll need 2 things, some shock cord and a cord lock. I bought these 2 from the local REI. If you guys don't have an REI near you, I'll put some Amazon links in the description below. So I'm just gonna undo this and you guys will see how quick and easy this is to do. I have length of shock cord which has some built-in stretchiness to it, and I'm basically gonna weave a very simple pattern here going through these D-loops. The main thing is I want this oriented to the side so I can slip things under it instead of this side being through the top. So there's no real like hard and fast ways to do this. You can experiment. You can use a longer length of shock cord and double up how you weave it if you need something stronger, but basically the idea is the same. So just using the webbing loops to form kind of a retention area. And once you have that, you want to trim your shock cord. In this instance, I sealed it with a flame over a burner. Then you slip both ends through the cord lock, like so. What this gives you is some adjustability in the tension. Of course, as you pull this in tighter, this is a more secure fit. One thing to note, the bag is relatively full right now, so it's not deforming the top here. But when the bag is empty, you don't want this too tight, otherwise it'll shrivel up like a prune. Last thing you want to do is put in a simple overhead knot here so the cord lock doesn't accidentally pop off. But that's it, super simple, super useful. Again, I'll show you guys how to use it. Let's say you're riding on your bike, you've started climbing and you want to ditch your cold layer. You can very simply tuck it under the cord lock right here. And if you need more tension for whatever reason, just tighten down on it. So another area on bags, in my opinion, which makes sense to use something like shock cord is these stabilizer straps. You'll see this on many bike packing bags. Typically, there's a wide kind of either webbing strap, or some people use a volet strap. And the problem with that is if you ride a small frame, and let's say this is aluminum or carbon and it's hydroformed, oftentimes it's really hard to get that strap around. But with something like paracord or shock cord, super simple. I think in the long run, it's less abrasive. It's not like this giant bandsaw of webbing strap. You could wrap the shock cord in some rubber tubing or some electrical tape so it doesn't abrade your frame. And again, great for fitting in these tight areas. And because it does have some elasticity, it'll prevent the bag from bouncing up and down. Another place where I think it makes sense to substitute a webbing strap for something like shock cord are these steer tube stabilization straps, often used for top tube bags. As you can see, because there is no elasticity, this will still kind of rotate and get a little bit floppy. And also, depending on how your stem is set up, you can see that this takes up a ton of real estate unnecessarily. Okay, so on this bag, it's fairly simple to do. I will just pull out that Velcro strap, substitute it with our shock cord, and of course the cord lock. Slide this back into position. Admittedly, the shock cord is pretty long. I'm using the same piece of shock cord over and over again to demonstrate, but you guys get the idea. You can loop this around like so. And when you have it where you like, tighten it down, put an overhand loop here. And as you can see, way more secure. There's constant tension being applied to the bag because of the elasticity, so less likely to just flop around. And also, as you can see, way more elegant, way easier to slip into tight kind of headset configurations. It's not a big, half-inch piece of Velcro. Last place where I think there's an over-reliance on webbing straps instead of something like shock cord is the bottom stabilizer straps of most stem bags. So typically this is what you'll find in stem bags from Revelate. This one happens to be a Bedrock bags. Is after attaching it to the handlebar, there is a piece of webbing that goes around the crown of the fork to keep the stem bag from swaying back and forth. So a couple of problems, in my opinion, with this kind of system is that, as you can see, the webbing strap is fairly wide, and as you steer, this basically acts as a handsaw against the pane of your frame. And because it's so wide, there is such a wide area to kind of try to protect if that's what you want to do. Another issue is, depending on the clearances of your frame, you might have super tight clearances here, and as mud builds up, it starts to run into the webbing strap. So as you guessed it, this is another area in which using something like shock cord, I think, would make a more elegant solution. So I'm gonna just try to install that on here. So fortunately, on this Bedrocks bag, there's a sewn-in loop, so I can use this to slide the shock cord through. So I'm just gonna feed this through here, have this go around the fork leg. Again, you would want to shorten this to length, put an overhand knot so it doesn't accidentally undo. But there you have it. So this is under constant tension. It's going to be less likely to bounce around. Also, because it is thinner and not as abrasive, it's not going to do as much damage as this 1/2 inch webbing here. Much easier to protect your bike in this way. You could wrap the shock cord in some electrical tape, or you can protect the smaller surface area with some helicopter tape. Far less potential damage than this really wide piece of webbing strap, which is super abrasive. So I've done this particular mod with a different stem bag, my Oveja Negra stem bag, and I've used it for about 2 years and it works great. I know some people have concerns about wear and tear, but I can assure you, 2 years later, it still works awesome. So I hope you guys found this video useful. If you want to see more videos on accessories, check out the playlist. And as always, keep the supple side down.